Okay, space sleuths, alien detectives and ET archaeologists. Here today we have on Mars in Gale Crater what looks very much like a fossilized spaceman. May sound crazy, but bear with me. Here's the raw image. This is from Sol 1033, so this is going right back years now, and we have a rather interesting ridgeline with loads of crazy things on it. Most of it's just rocks, of course, but there do seem to be a few little fossils and other things in the area. Here's the Gigapan, done by Neville Thompson, credit to him for this. There it is. Links will be in the description for this. There's also a small figure which was posted on ArtAlienTV Mars magazine a few days ago, up on this ridge. Further up to the left, you've got this line here, you've got the top of the ridge here, he looks down here and there's a little, what looks like a little person. Now this is probably fossilized or encrusted or whatever, it may not be a person at all, but it's shaped like one, so it's worth a look. Maybe nothing, but maybe something. Just because it's small doesn't mean it's insignificant. As I always say, some of the most important finds may turn out to be very small indeed on Mars, and may tell us a lot more than some of these larger objects. But yeah, this looks to be a person, fossilized, mummified kind of head here, two eyes, nose here, and a helmet coming around. Doesn't look that clear, so I'll show you it. It actually looks clearer in this image here, which is the original raw clip. This is pretty good, this image, and luckily this is quite close to the rover and is approximately human-sized, I would say. So this is the sort of size of a human head in a helmet, like a space helmet, an astronaut kind of helmet, but not quite like one I've ever seen before. It's heavily pitted and eroded, as is everything in this area. Okay, so without further ado, let's look at the edits I've got here. I'll show you the final one I've done first, and then we'll backtrack a little bit to save time doing it that way. Here we are. Here's the raw clip here, completely raw, just taken from the raw image. As you can see, nothing done to that. There's still that weird sort of browny, pukey colour. And here's my enhancement. I've colour corrected it. It's gone quite blue. That is the actual colour of the sand in the area. If anything, it's a bit darker than that. We know that from the satellite images of Gale Crater, that it's very blue, a lot of it. Sort of dark, sort of bluey grey colour, a lot of it. So this is more like the real colour. And there we have it. We've got some interesting details here. This helmet comes right round. It's got some symmetry to it here. We've got a bit coming back here and also over here. We've got two eyes and a nasal bone sticking out, which is rather odd. This may be part of the helmet, actually. I may have coloured that wrong. This may come in a bit further, but there was a line here. So what I did was I selected the facial area and changed the colour temperature, turned the colour temperature up to make it go a sort of brownish colour, to make it stand out from the rest of the image here, so it's easier to interpret. But actually, once you know what it is, or what I think it is, it may not be, of course, it's actually quite easy to see it in the raw image. You can see the eyes, you can see that nose, you can see a little mouth down here, with what look like lips, just there. Just about to see those. There is some eye detail, but this looks kind of fossilized or mummified, I should say. Now, of course, the mummification process may be slightly different on Mars. It's very dry, it gets very cold at night, so that things would freeze dry and desiccate very, very quickly, I would imagine. The lack of oxygen would mean that things would preserve for many thousands of years, possibly hundreds of thousands of years, before they completely disintegrate. And the lack of moisture and oxygen, obviously oxygen oxidizes things and makes them deteriorate very rapidly on our planet, as does rain. Water actually makes things rot, but the lack of that on Mars would mean that these things would mummify in a much more efficient way. Also, there's probably quite a high saline content in this sand, and I do know that there is quite a high sulfur level in the sand as well, as has been said by NASA many times before. So that may also contribute to the mummification of these specimens or creatures or people and all of the above. As I have shown before, there are many mummies that I've shown. Some of them are just sat at the bottom of these ridge lines, and some of them have helmets, some of them have hair. You can see clear hair on them. This thing seems to have some kind of apparatus sticking out here from the helmet. Now the helmet's heavily pitted, but this may be some kind of alloy, metal alloy we don't really understand. It could be some sort of aluminium, or who knows what it's made of. It could be even plastic, don't know. Just because it looks the same colour here as the rock doesn't mean it is, because everything's the same colour in these images, because they're kind of monochrome. There's very little colour in them, because basically NASA put the orange filter over everything, so everything kind of looks like that. So colour isn't a great deal to go by until you actually colour correct it yourself. But even that isn't quite the true colour, but it's close to it. So there we have it. Is it a spaceman in a helmet? It looks like one to me. There's some kind of structure to this helmet. There's kind of like almost like a wing part sticking out here and here. It's very odd. It's not completely rounded like you would expect. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. What else could we possibly find on Mars? Well, I don't rule anything out. Basically, these ridge lines, every one I've looked at so far, and I've looked at a lot of them, practically everyone I've looked at so far has either a skull, or a couple of skulls, or mummified heads, or statues, or other fossils with skulls, animal skulls and bones, that kind of thing. They're often building blocks that are broken, parts of buildings. A lot of these ridge lines are actually buildings that are very, very heavily damaged and buried. I zoom out. This is a perfect example of a ridgeline where, if you look at the bottom of the ridgeline, you find something interesting. And there's loads of weird little things down here as well. Some of these things are crazy. They've got loads of little weird details in. A lot of it's just shale rock and sedimentary rock that's eroded and split into little funny shapes. But don't rule anything out. I've found about 100 of these mummified heads and skulls so far, a lot of which I haven't published yet, which I will be publishing in the next few days. I've probably published over 70 so far, but I've got about another 20 or 30 that I found just in the last few days. So do keep an eye out for any new videos coming up, because there will be lots more to show coming very soon. But I thought I'd get this one out of the way, because I found this one a while ago, and since I found this, I've found loads and loads of others in the area, and so many, in fact, I'm going to have to do a compilation video, but I'm going to do a couple of individual videos like this, just showing one or two things, and then there would be a big compilation with loads of skulls and statues and things like that. So there we are. That was about it, really. I mean, I don't really know what else to say, but have a look for yourself. Go on the Gigapan here. There's a link in the description for it below. Download the image. There'll be a link to this as well. Take a clip of it, put it in Photoshop, color correct it, enlarge it a bit maybe, like I've done here. I'll show you some of the clips I've got just before we go. I'll only put the one clip in at the end of this. Let's see that. There we are. It's probably a little bit clearer. That's the clip that's in the enhanced montage image. You can see the eyes, you can see a nose there, some lips, and a helmet coming right round. Some kind of weird apparatus sticking out the side of the helmet, like could be a communications device or a breathing apparatus. Don't know. But this is heavily pitted. It almost looks like it's been melted in extreme heat, and then kind of solidified again. We've got these nodules on here. Very interesting indeed. And you've got the sort of inner structure to it as well. Absolutely insane. So, I mean, what I do with these images, I'll just show you very quickly how I actually enhance them. Let's get the raw clip. Let's get that one there, it's nice and big. We'll get that one there. This is completely raw. And even in the raw image, I mean, once you kind of realise what you might be looking at here, it's not difficult to work out. You can see what's going on. You've got eyes, nose, mouth, helmet. I mean, what else can I say? Right, what I usually do first, after I've taken the clip and enlarged it like I've done here, this is really simple. Fade correction, amount of correction on 1. And then we go to brightness and contrast. Let's make it really bright. Let's go +15 and +15. Do that a few times. And then you're starting to get it light enough. And once it starts to break up like that, then you need to stop. You're starting to get very light reflections on top here. And then what I did is I just drew around this middle part where the face is, which I'll show you how I do that actually. I'll do it very roughly. Just go around here like that, where the face is, really crudely, like so. I think it kind of goes up like that, I'm not really sure. Then you go to adjust and automatic color balance, turn it to fluorescent bulb, and it goes that kind of browny orange color. There we are. So that's kind of what I did, and also I added a bit more contrast than that. You know, I highlighted it a bit more, but that's all I've really done to the image. That's as simple as that. And if you want a copy of this PaintShop Pro 9, PaintShop Pro 9, it's absolutely free. You can come onto my Mars Magazine page here. Here's Lawrence's clip there of the little person up on the ridge. There we are. Let's go up to the top of the page very quickly. There's loads of cool stuff that I put up in the last few days. You may want to check out some of the recent finds. But if you want PaintShop Pro 9, you can download this free app, and there, if you go on the research page near the bottom, there's a link to a free download, a safe and free download of it, and you can get it for free there. So, and there's loads of other freeware on this as well. I mean, this is totally free. It links to loads of other stuff. So do check that out. Come along to ArtAlienTV Mars Magazine, completely free. You get a free app, free software, loads of cool stuff. Check it out. Also check out some of my recent videos. The Mars insect has moved. It has. It's not in the image taken later. This image was taken, the one on the right was taken about, I think, 73 days after the one on the left, and the insect has moved. So check that out. There's this big grey alien statue here. There's loads of statues here. Loads more here. Loads of crazy stuff. But there's loads more to come. Now, I know a lot of you want to see buildings. I know I do, but at the moment, the Curiosity Rover is stuck in a bit of a sandstorm, and the images that is only really taking images of the ground at the moment, and we're only getting little rocks and pebbles and things like that, and the image quality is really poor. But I'm hoping the sandstorm will lift a bit in the next week or so. It has lifted a bit. I mean, I think the sandstorm was over a week ago now, about a week and a half ago, and it went very dark, and it's gradually clearing, but it may take a long time to clear. So the rover is not doing a lot at the moment, which is why I've been going back over some of these older images like we got here. What else can I say? There's that little dude. I took a clip of that, but you can't see it very well. I'll put a highlighted clip of that in a minute for you. There's loads of other things in here. This is by no means the only thing. You may find other things that I haven't. There's loads of weird stuff, and a lot of it's just weird shaped rocks, but that little dude I think is up here. And my graphics card, because it's so hot, is struggling. You want to look up here for the little person, just up there somewhere. Okay, so just before my graphics card actually completely dies on me because it's so hot here, I'm going to call it a day. Thanks for watching, everybody. The links will be below as usual. Check out the links at the end of the video to the similar finds that I found. There will be other Mars helmets which look a bit similar to this, and other things like that. But there we have it. The Stone Temple pilot, the spaceman on Mars. How long has he been there? Millions of years, thousands of years, or hundreds of years? Don't know. Couldn't tell you. But either way, it's a very compelling image. And there are many, many other things like it. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.